We should get some estrogen up here.
Excuse me.
Well, see, I don't know. I mean, is that...
Yeah.
1 milligram twice a day?
That's one of 50 questions I have for you. But
Can you give me some of yours? Are you holding? Look, I don't do drugs, but that would be a pretty good experiment.
Yeah, that actually would be. I mean, we're going to be able to do that. That's what I'm saying. You're going to be able to put a USB drive in your head, and you're going to get to be anything you want for a day.
What do you identify as?
Female.
But I mean, just straight out, that's what you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question about, and I'm interested, and not that you represent the entire community or something, but why? and I'm going to sound super naive right now.
You wouldn't sound worse than Jeff did back in episode 79.
But I'm wondering, like, and maybe you guys talked about it, but Jared Leto's performance in Dallas Buyers Club seemed to get criticized by the community. And do you have anything?
I haven't seen that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was it, too like Queenie, or I think I saw that movie.
I mean, but what do I know? But I mean, it didn't bother me.
Well, it gets to that.
You don't know what problem they had with it.
Well, I felt like he performed. I felt like he was a dude. I felt he was playing a human being. I didn't think it was kitsch or over the top. But maybe the people who had a problem with it don't hang out with the badass motherfucking queens I do.
I'm hearing a lot of good stuff. I've just seen some clips online. I haven't actually seen an episode of Jeffrey Tambor's performance in Transparent. So it's a new...
But it's weird. It's like any time there's a group that starts to get any kind of respect, there's so much infighting.
Well, there's
ever the very...
It's the group thing, right? I mean, and when you have something as complex as transgenderism, transsexuality, transgender identity generally, you're going to draw your Venn diagram a lot of different ways.
Yeah, and I understand the complaint is, why didn't you hire a real transgender person? But the reality of it is that wouldn't have gotten made, that movie, without it.
And what is a real transgender person?
Yeah, what is that?
What is that? So, right. So, I mean, I identify as female. I identify as pansexual. I have a male body mostly at the moment, but I am taking female hormones. I have a male genetic structure as far as I know. I have no idea what my epigenetic structure is or the structure of my brain. All these things are mixing together, and since the age of 12 have been sort of moving me toward something where I stand here now as I know some people who would say that when they get to this point where your body is a certain way and your mind is a certain way, you're essentially poisoned by male hormones for 40 years, but you're actually a female that just manifested differently.
So the most fascinating thing about transgenderism, is it an ism?
That'll do.
Is the idea that what we're talking about is release from a dichotomy. Yes. We're talking largely about transcendence of dichotomy. And yet there is so much focus, I guess by necessity, on dichotomy. In other words,
necessity within the context of the culture.
Right. So it's not, when I was a kid, we had Boy George and we had Prince, and they were. I have no idea what was going on with them.
Boy George was my hero.
I knew that my parents were upset about them, and the reason they were upset is because my dad couldn't figure out if they were a boy or a girl.
It's absolutely
and in fact,
fear and
the
comfort.
Heavy metal guys were like wearing mascara and all this stuff, and it was like androgyny was a form of rebellion. But it was all in service of dichotomy. It seems to me like the dichotomy is the enemy, isn't it? Isn't the idea that you're either a man or a woman the actual bad guy?
Yeah. Well, it's a matter of comfort, right? Society has a certain comfort level and a certain energy level that's necessary to maintain its structure and its forward momentum. Complexity makes that worse. And when you start acknowledging complexity, a culture begins to say, I need systems to deal with this. I need more pigeonholes. I need more bins. I need more bits in my bytes. And that takes energy and takes time until people begin to then sort of relax back from it and say the answer isn't more pigeonholes. The answer is just more acceptance of individuals.
Yeah, I always feel like don't give him applause. That's my applause. I created the form. No, I'm kidding. I always feel like progress. The big difference is like there's always, as we progress, there's always there's the progress that lowers barriers. that makes walls that used to be there stop existing, and those like are really scary to people. And then there's like militant versions of the progress that actually raise new walls.
Yeah,
and I'm always like very suspicious of them. I go like, wait, well, why are you telling me that from now on I have to do this or that?
Well, the fear is on both sides, right? I mean, as you're going through life with this sort of a situation like I have, you get very defensive.
Yeah,
because you're trying to protect your own system.
I could appreciate that. Yeah,
and across all those different spectrums I was talking about, each one of those subgroups has their own groups, their own barriers, their own protections.
Which must make that incredibly difficult. And I always feel like you can feel the nails across the chalkboard when we have a transgender person on stage, and or anyone that addresses the subject. I always feel like, unlike if you talk about race or class or gender or qua gender, like you can feel like the confusion. You can feel the nails on the chalkboard. You can hear in an audience of 200 people, you can hear one person popping up over there, and then they're going like, "That's not."
But you pointed it out before about when Levi was up on stage,
right? Because Levi's a very fucking specific dude,
right? And he had the mustache. He was talking about how he was owning the male physiology.
And he was saying, I'm transgender. And it's like in Los Angeles in 2014, that meant he was an ambassador of transgenderism. Mm-hmm. And so there were people in the back of the room.
Why aren't you effeminate?
Yeah. Why it was just like bullying. It's like, oh, where's your makeup? Where's your dress? It's like, whoa, okay.
But like right now, so I'm presenting fairly male. I have on women's pants.
Nice.
I have on androgynous chucks, which I've always worn.
All right.
I'm rocking my Feral Audio T-shirt.
Now you're making me question my sexuality because
you should be.
I don't know what's similar to me. But 40% of your wardrobe is apparently
female.
Yeah.
All
right.
But it's how I'm feeling. I'm going to reach a point in my life where I am going to present obviously female all the time. I'm going to legally.
You heard it here first,
yes,
folks.
You did. I'm going to
much moonshine.
Change my name to Jay. No, that's cool.
What? No. So is that your goal? I feel like this could be a 3-hour podcast. Because I want to. So you are.
Is it different goals for different people?
That is part of the dichotomy. Yeah. Like you want to. There is a point where you will be like, I have arrived at a place. Like you will be.
Well, I am arriving at a place every single fucking day, believe me. And what I will do is I will arrive at a place where I'll say, okay, for the good of the people who I have to associate with, because of my professional life, because of my family life, whatever, I need to put a stake in the ground for everyone else's comfort, because I'm a nice person and I understand that I need to exist. I'm not going to be the militant outsider my whole life. So I'm going to say, okay, for everybody else, preferred gender pronoun is now female, the name is now Jane, and I'm going to be wearing a dress and I'm going to be wanting to use the women's bathroom. And that just becomes, okay, that legally, socially, whatever, that's a stake in the ground. But that's not something that any transgender person has to do, because they have no obligation to society to do anything. They're just trying, believe me. I mean, I'm 50 and I'm just taking these steps, and I've known since I was 10 or 11 that something was fucked up. It's taken me this long to get my life to a point where I can just be up here on this stage.
Is that why you dedicated most of your life to creating a substance that would fuck other people up?
Yes, absolutely.
You're like a Marvel supervillain.
Well,
none of them will know what's going on.
Poisoning.
They will all wake up every morning wondering what they did last night, who they were. I am Androgynax.
It's funny because Dr. Horrible is one of my big heroes.
I think you should stay up here as a friend of Harmontown.
When I was a kid, I was in a dress a lot. And it wasn't for the comedy. It was truly like I felt comfortable. And when you were like at a high school function and you show up in a skirt, not a kilt, just a skirt, it couldn't be a bigger fuck you to the football team. You know, it would be like, hey, how you doing? And it'd be like, it was really beautiful. I used to wear skirts when I used to work on the show on Happily Ever After on tape night. Because when they would go, please welcome your audience, and it'd be Marines would be the audience that they would, and then I would come out and they'd be like, yeah. And one day, when my daughter was really little, she was about 8, I woke her up and she goes, Dad, where'd you get that sweater? I go, oh, it's new. She goes, it would go so well with your brown skirt. But the reason I did it was it would be really comfortable, and it's such a fuck you. You're not like if you were on the set of Community and you show up in a skirt, you're like, I'm the fucking guy. Go fuck yourself.
I think they would actually be like, oh, good, now we have a label for what's wrong with you. Because otherwise it's just, why is that guy in pajamas?
To me, it's such a freeing, beautiful way to, like, squirt your musk.
Yeah, I know. Anything is, yeah. I think everybody should... the way I can access it is, let's get out of dichotomies. Let's get away from it has to be this or that. That's what I can understand. But in thinking that, that's just me, a guy that exists within a very specific dichotomy that's going like, well, a world without dichotomies, boy, oh boy. There are people who want... That's why I was obsessing about that dichotomy thing. It was like, well, yeah, but a lot of people, like, it actually is about going from one side of the fence to the other, like, specifically. Even though to a person who exists on either side of that fence, that person might be a hero by virtue of their transcendence. They actually are making a journey and they want to arrive somewhere and create stability and be something. That, to me, is the confusing thing because I don't want to offend anybody by assuming that about them. I don't want to look at somebody and go like, oh, you can't wait to be a woman, can you? Like that.
Right.
It's like maybe he doesn't like maybe you're something other than that. That doesn't doesn't. But if that were your goal, I would love to get behind it. But I don't know what.
And again, I don't want to. I obviously can't speak for the entire trans community because it's humongous. But I think in general, my experience has been that most trans folk are actually very understanding of what we'll call the cisgendered community. People whose gender aligns.
I'm offended by that phrase, by the way.
Yes.
I'm starting that movement early.
The anti-cis. Because we get what it's like to be misunderstood. Mm-hmm. And if you've waited a long time, just to have someone take the time to ask. It's always better. What would you like your preferred gender pronoun to be? Mm-hmm. How would you like me to address you? Which restroom would you like to be using? Shall I open the door for you or will you open it for me? I mean, all these sorts of identity things that society demands, ask about them. Trans people will love the fact that you care enough to ask.
Well, I mean, to be the devil's advocate, a lot of people in this room would love to be constantly asked about all their fucking bullshit.
Yes.
But everybody wants to be a fucking rock star.
Right, but if trans folk put themselves out really in the gun sights constantly, and more so than a lot of hidden issues. But it's more for your benefit, for other people who aren't trans. Go ahead and ask.
Yeah,
if you're uncomfortable,
I think
ask.
that's fantastic.
If you're not uncomfortable, don't worry about it.
In the past, like social movements, like progressive movements, have been about like people who have been shut out actively. People who go like, you're black, you can therefore not come into this room. And progress has been indicated by people going from saying, I will beat you up if you come in here, to stopping doing that, to no longer doing things that they were actively doing because of hatred, dropping things, lowering walls, stopping things. And I think if the transgender movement, like the part that I understand about it is people saying, drop your gender consciousness, drop it. Stop thinking about men and women as being different things. That's where feminism and nerdism and blackism and LGBTs and every other alphabet letter, they all intersect there. If like it can all like it's like stop thinking about the person that you're looking at as being anything other than a person.
That person.
Stop.
Get to know that person.
Like let the boundaries drop. The things that I don't get are the movements that involve new rules. Right. My 41-year-old road comic fucking like quills are gonna go, I ain't learning no new rules. I will definitely learn to stop doing more shit. Absolutely. Like I jumped aboard like as soon as I found out that anyone had a problem with gay people, I was like, I am so on board, it's crazy. You know why? It's fucking like it's the easiest way to be progressive in the world.
Don't hate them.
Yeah, all you have to do is give less of a shit about more people.
Absolutely.
All you have to do is stop caring about even more people. It's fucking great. My parents had to bother to dedicate a section of their brain to keeping gay people from doing shit? What a dumb waste of fucking time. I had Minecraft to play. I'm a fucking advocate. Get married. Do whatever the fuck you want. It's easy. Make it like boundaries coming down. I think that's what Irish people, Jewish people, black people. That's all they ever wanted was. Can you stop noticing that I'm black? The tough thing is we have these it's like in a culture in America, down south as we call it up here. Like where we truly, it's fucking noteworthy that our progress is like. Black men got the vote before white women. Like, we respected people that we regarded as property enough to say, yes, you should also have a say in who is president. And then sometime later, women got the right to also be counted on that. That is why I think transgender, the trans thing is like, it's like, holy fuck. It's not because we don't respect people for moving from one side to the other. It's because we don't know what the fuck we were thinking in the first place.
No, it was a tough road.
We have no idea.
Then,
we're just barely getting. Anyways, too much earth shine.
You haven't drank hardly any of that. Man.
No, I only had a couple of quarts of this.